Episode 3 of Talk About Tomorrow, an interview with John Aldridge, is sponsored by Bovista Golf and Spa in Lagos. So welcome everyone to Talk About Tomorrow. And today we are incredibly privileged to have a Liverpool legend, a Premiership footballer with a career total of 474 goals, which is actually a post-war record, and a tally of 330 Football League goals, which is the 6th highest in the history of English football. We have with us today the legend that is John Aldridge. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
Pleasure.
It's such a privilege to have you on Talk About Tomorrow in our 3rd edition. So forgive us, because I'm sure you've been interviewed by far more professional people in your time.
Not at all.
But I will try my best. And today we're sitting at Bovista in front of the 18th hole, which I believe you enjoy around at Bovista, John.
Yeah, I love it. I played there when it first opened in, I think it was 2001, something at that time. And yeah, you fell in love with it. And obviously, over the last 20 odd years, and done the charity golf, which we're still doing in conjunction with Tomorrow magazine. This has been the spot where we have the final day.
Yeah. And obviously, we're here today to talk about your relationship with Tomorrow magazine and how you help us with our raising money for our great charity. But of course, today, sitting here with a beautiful blue sky in front of this fantastic green, it must feel a world away from Garston in Liverpool, right?
I'm looking at that green because I always 3-putt that green.
Do you?
It's a tough green, that no. Yeah, I came from a part of Liverpool, right by Liverpool Airport, in fact, called Garston, and it was rough. I won't kid anyone. It was quite rough, but it was an honest sort of little village. People were clannish, and looked after each other, incredibly well.
Exactly. And I think you actually learnt how to play football in a bomb shelter. Is that correct? Or no, a bombed out house, was
absolutely.
it?
I was so lucky because, being from Liverpool in the growing up in the 60s, we didn't have an awful lot. We had music, we had the Beatles, Liverpool was the capital of music, with all the bands and football. We had 2 great football sides, Liverpool and obviously Everton. And you're either red or a blue. And thankfully, I was brought up to be a red. Love football, but if we had a house with an outside toilet, that's the way it was. But if you opened the back door, there's a void there. It was a house that got bombed in the war, which was never re-erected. It was a 5-a-side pitch for me. I had 2 posts this end, 2 posts that end to stop cars going in there. I just got a ball and just all, every single day. And
after school,
just kicked the ball about. Drove them mad, kicking it against the wall. They kept on, telling me to stop kicking and all that, but it didn't put me off.
And describe the first time that you went to a game at Anfield and your impressions of it.
Yeah, well, I was about 8, I think, 7 or 8. My uncles took me, and I wasn't in the Kop. And then it's too dangerous to go in the Kop. You've seen footage of the old Kop. I was in the paddock, and I just fell in love with watching this team and watching the Kop, because if you look at the old footage of the Kop, it was chock with about 25,000 people, but they were swaying and moving and coming down when they scored, and the colour and the noise they made was incredible. And I just watched it, and there was a player called Roger Hunt who played for England. He's World Cup winner, actually, played in 1966. Who, because he was a goal scorer, I wanted to be a goal scorer. I just took to him with number 8 on his back, not number 9, number 8. I said, I just want to be him. From that day, that was the main objective for, what I wanted to do in future.
You used to dream of getting that shirt one day.
Oh, yeah.
And I think in those days, you said there was a boys' pen. So for the young lads, they could be dropped off and there was a special place for them.
Yeah, under 14s. So your uncle or your dad or whoever, your mum, would drop you off at the boys' pen, and they'd go in the Kop. and afterwards they'd come down and wait for you. You know, you just go in this. It's like a cat's choir because you're singing when you're only like, you hear kids singing or shouting or whatever. There must have been about in there a couple of hundred young kids. But it's good. It was dead cheap. And yeah, I used to go in there. Yeah, I used to be my boys playing there.
And then you started playing in a Sunday and Saturday league, is that right?
Yeah, well, my dad was brilliant because he knew how football mad it was. So he got a team from Garston under the bridge where we were, the part of Garston. All my mates, he made the team for me and all my mates. And then from there, he funded it through a pub to raise money with the tote that they had every Sunday. But from there, he actually built. So the south end of Liverpool, he was the one that helped build the leagues because of me, my dad. So it was brilliant. Played for the school on a Saturday. We played Saturday afternoons in the league and Sunday mornings.
And were you always a striker, a goal scorer from the start?
Yeah, at the very first game for the school, they played me in the midfield, sort of defensive role. I always remember, and I was crap. and all of a sudden, I don't know how. All of a sudden, then I played winger, and then I played forward, and then bingo, I just scored. We won. My last in the infant school, my last year, we won we were the best team in Liverpool school. We won the final against St Teresa's from the north, and I ended up getting about 60 goals in the season there for them. So I sort of knew that I had some sort of a gift.
That gave you a taste for the victory as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, first big thing we ever won it was yeah.
And I believe that you had your gas man to thank for the first trial for Liverpool.
His name was Johnny Bennison. He was the gas man. He used to come and read the gas meters, and he come into our house and he seen all my medals that your mum had put up on the up there, and he said, "Your son he's a good player." Your mum said, "Oh, he's the best, whatever." But Johnny Bennison was part time at Liverpool. He was actually part of the boot room under Bill Shankly. He was a huge part of Liverpool for the younger kids. So I got trials for Liverpool. It's true. So I went trialing after school for must have been about 8 times, and I thought I've got a chance here getting an apprenticeship. And I always remember the day we all sat around Tom Saunders, who was the head of. Well, it wasn't an academy; it was a development at the time. So all these young lads were sitting around Tom, and he was addressing us, giving us some really good information. And then he went and said, "Harry, well tried. You're not good enough, son, but keep your head up." And then he went, "Jim, brilliant. We'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks' time." And he looked at me, he said, "John," he said, "great goal you scored against the B team today. We'll definitely be giving you a ring." 13 years later, the phone rang and I was playing for Oxford and it cost £1 million.
So he didn't call you
so
then?
He didn't
Never
call me
called
back.
you?
Tom didn't call me back. They didn't call me back.
So as a kid, you were sat there waiting for that call and it never came?
I was devastated. But what I did, I actually used that as a motivational weapon because I said, I'll prove him wrong. I will prove him wrong and I'll be a footballer. Even though I was a toolmaker, I learned to be a toolmaker by trade, which I got me trade for 4 years. I learned, making cars, helped making cars. But that time I was still playing football, Saturday and Sundays. And I was still believing that I'd get a chance. And I played for South Liverpool, which was a non-league club. You actually got paid. So I was getting my money, apprenticeship money, and I was getting like £10 a week for,
So you were like semi-professional at this stage, yeah.
Getting £10 a week, which that was my ale money for the weekend to take me girlfriend, my wife home. So it was quite handy, to be honest. And then I got the weird thing. Well, lucky when you do get luck in life, and you've got to grasp it when you get a bit of luck and make sure you use it. But a friend of mine in the tool shop where we were working, his brother was a manager of a 4th division team called Newport County, and he took upon himself to come and watch me play this day in the local derby, South Liverpool versus Runcorn. And we won 4-1, and I didn't half play well, and I scored 1 or 2 goals, I can't remember. And he told his brother, my mate John's, he's better than what he actually thought. So he'd come and watch me play the following Wednesday.
So Robin, this was Robin,
that was
who
Robin
was the
Ashurst,
manager,
yes.
yeah.
His brother was Len Ashurst in the Newport camp. So he came and watched me play following Wednesday against Frickley, and we won 3-0, and I scored the 3 goals.
Wow.
So that's where your luck comes in.
Luck or skill?
Well, yeah. So it worked out. It worked out well in the end. But
in 1978, you were about to qualify as a toolmaker, and you were going to be paid around £80 a week.
Yeah, spot on, yeah.
And the manager of Newport offered you £78 a week.
And he knew what I was going to go on. I got me a diploma, so I was going to go into, full time, which was £82 a week, but with overtime, which took you to £110, which is good, big money then. So you're getting £110 plus £10 playing for South Liverpool. I'm thinking I'm rich here. So he said to me, I'll give you a 1-year contract and £78 a week. And I went, come on. That's not fair. He said, take it or leave it.
And your dad didn't want you to take it?
My dad told me to tell him to stick it where the sun don't shine. He said, we'll give you a £10 appearance money, which will bump it up or whatever, £10 or £20. And yeah, I thought it was a bit of a slight, but he said, take it or leave it. So I just thought, well, I'll take it. I'll have to take it because it might not come around again, the opportunity. So I got into the team, and
what division were they in at this
point?
Fourth
division. Got into the team, started scoring goals, only 1-year contract, and all of a sudden he sees me, I want you to have a new contract. I said, well, I'll think about it. But we came round now, it was, he was desperate for me to sign a new contract then, not just 1 year. So I got him back. Then. I got a good rise, and I got what it deserves, yeah.
But you didn't just turn up, did you? I think I read that you went after the training had finished, and you would train, and you went to the gym, and
yeah. Well, when I went to Newport, it was March. It was in the March time, so I couldn't play. I wasn't registered to play, but I trained with the team for a month. But then he said, I want you to stay in Newport for the close season for 2 months. And I wanted to go back to Liverpool. I was pining for Liverpool, and my girlfriend's with my wife now. And I said, no, I can't. He said, look here, you need to put, I was like that, you need to put muscle on. So when I went back to Liverpool, I was still getting me money from them and working for my dad on the roofs. My dad was a roofing contractor, so I'd be working for him. But at 12 o'clock, I'd knock off and I'd go to a gym where this Mr. Liverpool, he's a big fella. He told me how to put weight on and what to do. So I'd do weight training for an hour, go home and have a big steak. That's what you do to put the weight on. And then I'd run to my wife, my girlfriend's house and run home. So when I went back to Newport in the July time, I'd actually put half a stone of muscle on.
Wow.
But it's good muscle. That I needed to kick on with, yeah.
And tell me about your move to Oxford after that. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, the first year in Newport, we did brilliant. We got promotion to the 3rd division, and we won the Welsh Cup.
Wow. And
the following year, we got the quarter-finals of the European Cup Winners' Cup, which was massive. And then I stayed there for a few years, and we weren't going nowhere, to be fair, but I was still scoring loads of goals. And Oxford, who were in the same division, Division 3, were under Jim Smith, who was a great manager, but Robert Maxwell, who was a very powerful man with a lot of money. And they come in for me. And Newport needed the money. 78 grand, 80 grand, whatever it was. And they were going up to the 2nd division. They were winning our league, so I thought, well. So I jumped on the bandwagon for the last couple of months, whatever it be. And we got promotion to the 2nd division. Then Robert Maxwell invested in some really good players, 3 other good players.
Is it Billy Hamilton?
Billy Hamilton's great player. Ray Houghton, brilliant player. Jeremy Charles. Yeah. So we then went to Division 2 and we battered it. We we got promotion quite easily.
Was that Robert Maxwell, the media
Mm.
mogul? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, the one who fell off the boat.
Yeah.
He was good to me. I couldn't knock him, but whatever come out later on, but he was always good to me. But I was good probably for him for scoring the goal, so it worked both ways.
So finally, you were 28 and you finally got that call from Liverpool.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
I was doing well in the first division where Liverpool was, and I'd scored against Liverpool at Oxford, the Manor Ground. We drew 2-2, and I must have impressed somewhat. And Ian Rush, their top goal scorer at Liverpool, Rushy was going to Juventus.
Right.
So they see me as the ideal replacement. So yeah, well, it was 750 grand or so they paid for me, and yeah, it was just
But
a
didn't
dream come
Robert
true.
Maxwell almost blow it? He was
Yeah.
trying to get you more money.
Yeah. When he told me Liverpool come in for me, he's only let me go because he knew I was such a Liverpool devoted fan. So they couldn't stop me. They wouldn't stand in my way. He said, but now you're playing for Liverpool, I want you to, who's the top paid player? I didn't know. I said, Ian Rush or Kenny Dalglish. So he got on the phone to the chairman, John Smith at the time, and demanded that he paid me as much money as them, which I didn't expect. It was quite embarrassing at the time, but he was trying his best for me.
Oh, and so you had like the dream team at Liverpool at that time.
Yeah.
John Barnes, Ray Houghton, Peter Beardsley.
Oh, class.
Yeah.
Class. You know, that's like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, I always say, because, you know, I get the ball as a striker. If you watch a striker like Harry Kane now, I don't come off. I stay against the centre halves, get the ball into me, hold them off, then play it to Peter Beardsley, John Barnes or Ray Houghton. And then I just got into the box and they fed me, you know, and that's why, you know, I got the golden boot. Should have got 2 of them actually, while I was at Liverpool. But yeah, it was just a joy to play in that team.
You scored 63 goals, 50 of them in the league.
Yeah, 104 appearances. Yeah.
Now you were one of the best penalty takers in history, but
Yeah, I know what's coming.
And this is something England we can all you know, empathise with you in the '88 FA Cup final when you were trying to get the double. You missed that penalty.
Yeah.
So that must have been heartbreaking.
It was. I had 19 penalties for Liverpool and scored 18.
But and that was the one you missed.
The big ones, the centre stage, the FA Cup final, and it wasn't a great penalty. It was in the corner, but Dave Besson, I give Dave a lot of credit because he knew
that was the goalie, right? Most
of the penalties went top right, and he told me afterwards when he said I just guessed all though and just threw myself out there, and you know he saved it. So we did well, but I was my last kick of the game. I got substituted straight after, which I wasn't very happy about because I wanted to make it own. But it's weird this because the following year, that was my last kick, 1988 FA Cup final. Rolled the dice forward, 1989 Cup final, the Hillsborough Cup final. Everton had kick off. My first touch was nearly in the same place as the penalty, and I went where the penalty should have gone. That is real spooky when you think we lost 96, 97 people, you know, died at that Hillsborough game, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really. I don't believe in things like that, but it was so weird.
Just a weird. Yeah. So, of course, we have to move on to Hillsborough. 15th of April, 1989. Just tell me, what were your first impressions when you were playing that something terrible had happened?
We were on the pitch. The game got stopped after 6 minutes. And we seen a bit of commotion in the Liverpool end, and it was really jam-packed. But we didn't know what had happened. It looked like a barrier might have collapsed, something like that. So we were just told to get off the pitch while the police deal with it, and they did whatever. And we just in the dressing room, and then after 20 minutes, you suspect something's not right. We're just warming up, thinking we're going to go back on and play. Then you hear people in the corridor screaming and crying and whatever, and people, Kenny Dalglish went out, someone said to him, people are dying out there, Kenny. So Kenny went out, and then next minute he said, get changed. The game's off, and then slowly surely we got to know. When we went in the room up top where the wives were, you know, it was on the television there, and yeah, it was horrendous.
And all the more devastating for you because you were obviously from Liverpool, and those were your family.
If I was in the football, I'd have been there.
Yeah.
You know, but we all took it really, really bad. It was really the hardest thing in my life, you know, to deal with.
Yeah.
And we had to counsel people. Yeah, on the Monday, I couldn't talk about it for a long time, and I always say to people, if you've got something, tell it, get it out of your system. And the family said to me, John, will you do this interview? I said, no, do it, and it's the best thing you ever did because it's the release valve.
Yeah.
Because you bottle it all in, you've got to get it out there. So yeah, there was on a Monday we went to the hospital where a lot of the Liverpool fans were in Sheffield. And the doctor said to me, can you have a word with the young boy there? And he's very young. It reminded me of my own son. He
was about the same age as your son.
Yeah, and I just had a word in his ear, you know, when you're better, we'll come and see you, come in the game, blah, blah, blah. And then the doctor said, thanks very much. I said, oh, bro, no problem. When do you expect him to come out of the coma? He said, no, we're switching the life support machine off this afternoon. So that really cut me into. Then we had to go to funerals. I went to 11 in all. There was 2 sisters, there's 2 brothers, and we had to drive in them days. You weren't escorted, so there was one not far from where I lived, and I did. To be fair, I didn't know what day it was, and I drove to the church where someone met me. He said, "Can you sit there behind the families?" So I just sat behind the families, and then you'll never walk alone. Come on, so you're waiting then for the coffin to come past you, which it did, and then you just got to brace yourself and you just try and get through. But then no one told me after the main coffin there was a little coffin came after. It was a father and son.
Oh,
but I wasn't prepared. I just wasn't prepared. If someone told you about it, you're prepared, and then that was tough.
Did you have any counselling offered to you at that time?
In them days, you just sort of get on with things, you know. It's not like today. You know, you would have had. We were actually counselling the families, the bereaved. So it affected me in many ways in my life going forward. But you had to just deal with it, yeah. So, but the biggest game I've ever played, and I've always said this, you don't need a cup or a medal to say that's the biggest game. That's the biggest game I've ever played. And win the FA Cup, win the league, whatever you do, get your golden boot. The biggest game I played in my life was not the 69 caps for Ireland. It was not the 800 and so games I played. It was the Hillsborough semi-final. The game that was stopped. We had to replay it about 3 or 4 weeks later. That was a game in the pit of your stomach. The thought of getting beat was horrendous. That 96 people at that time, 7 now, had lost their lives in that game. So that was the biggest game of my life by and we won 3-1 and scored 2. That sort of counselled me a little bit. So yeah, that was the. Then getting to the final, which I talked about before, then I could take getting beat by Everton, but not the semi-final, because the Evertonians and Liverpool would come together. But when you got the final, your motivation was to again do it for the people that perished and the families, which we did. We won there 3-2 in the end.
And did you get involved with the victims' fight for justice in any way? Or?
We all did what we could, you know, in the end. But it's just remarkable. These women, the most, and the dads, the women, most of all, they wouldn't let it go. They know there was. Then people were killed. The people at Hillsborough were killed. The police, they hid it. Margaret Thatcher, they hid all the. You've seen it, you know, in documentaries that Jimmy McGovern did and the things before. Things went on there which was an absolute total disgrace. Hiding the police was to blame. Of course they were. Of course they were to blame. But look, the mums went to so many extremes to get the word out there and get justice, which they've got to a certain stage, just didn't get to the last stage where the people should have got paid the sentences for doing what they did. But the women were unbelievable. They wouldn't let it go. They just wouldn't. They went to the extremes, unbelievable. And they, don't have to mention their names, but they were incredible. The mums of the bereaved and the dads, but the mums were amazing.
Welcome to Boavista Golf and Spa, where you can indulge in top-tier amenities like restaurants, a luxurious spa, and a vibrant leisure center. Whether you're seeking a holiday retreat or a fresh start as a resident, Boavista embraces you with open arms. And the best part? Experience the joy of playing golf in an incredible setting.
After you played for Liverpool, you was it Barnes that came back?
Rushy
Sorry,
came back. Yeah,
so Ian Rush came back from Juventus,
yeah.
And suddenly you were a spare part. How did that feel?
Well, Rushy was away for a year and he came back, but I knew 3 into 2 don't go. There's me, Ian, and Peter. 4-4-2 type of. So all I could do was score goals and keep me place. That's the way I seen it. So the first game was Wimbledon in the Charity Shield. We won 2-1. I scored 2 at Wembley. Then the first game of the season was Charlton away. We won 3-0. I scored 3. But the gloves were off. I knew I had to score to keep my place because Ian was one of the best goal scorers in the world. Peter was one of the best strikers in the world. But as far as I could, if I was scoring goals, they can't keep me out of the team. And they actually scored 31 goals that season in about 40 starts. So I kept my place for most of the season.
But then
for whatever reason, Kenny decided to sell me. And in no uncertain terms, he told me if it didn't go, I'd be sitting on the bench as a substitute. So Real Sociedad came in, and at the time they were full of, it's just the Basques. Just the Basque played for Bilbao. You had to be a Basque to play for Real Sociedad. So I was the first non-Basque. So 75% of people didn't want me there. But then when I scored a couple of goals against Barcelona, it was all right.
Yeah, score goals and you're welcome.
And when I left for family reasons 2 years later, they were desperate for me to stay. And great people, though, the Basque people. I was honoured to play there. They were great people to play for. Obviously, I scored 40 in 76 games there, which helps. But I loved it. And only the fact that my wife couldn't really settle with the kids, it was hard for them.
Sure.
It wasn't like you had EasyJet today and all these Ryanair flights. You can just go. We had to go. It's a whole day to get there,
Yeah.
Liverpool to Manchester, Manchester to Gatwick to Bilbao, and it wasn't easy. So in the end, we had to come back. I had to come back for the family's sake.
You actually played for the Ireland international team.
Yeah.
I think that was actually even before you were signed to Liverpool.
Oxford was playing when Jack
Charlton discovered that you had this Irish heritage through your maternal grandmother.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So he asked you to come and play for Ireland, and you got to Euro '88, and you actually beat England in that.
We beat England in Stuttgart, in the very first game of the Euros, 1-0. It was great. That was my favourite game in the green shirt. That was obviously a lot of my friends were playing for England. I was actually friends supporting England, and I had relations supporting Ireland, and so it was great. Yeah, we had a really good team. We drew with Russia. 1-0. We should have beat Russia. We played brilliant that day, but we drew, and then we got knocked out by Holland. It's very late goal they scored, 1-0. We only needed a draw to go to the semi-finals. Holland went on to win it, but that was we showed the world what a good side we had.
I think you've been quoted as saying that you felt that Jack Charlton was one of the best managers you ever worked for.
He's the best one I worked for.
Yeah,
I love Jack. 10 years, 69 caps. He was just a great manager. I didn't play as a striker for Ireland. I played a totally different role. Plus, I only scored 19 goals in 69 games, whereas my ratio was like 1.8 a goal. Before, but I played this running, which people it's too intrinsic to go into. But I respected it. That's the way we wanted to play to be successful, and you know, and we were.
So, as we are recording this, tomorrow we have England in the semi-finals of the Euros. Do you support England when
Not really.
Ireland are not playing? No.
Not really. No.
You'll be watching though, right?
I want the Liverpool players to play well when they play them. But I'll be watching. Yeah, I'll be watching. We've got two players, Liverpool, Van Dijk and Gakpo, Gakpo's playing really well. Look, who's the better team will win a bit. I can't see England winning unless they win it on penalties.
Yeah.
I think they're not strong enough defensively, and they've been lucky to get where they are actually. But look, if they win it, good luck to them.
And who are your favourite players that you most like to watch now in the current league?
Liverpool. Just Liverpool
like watching
players. Yeah. And I appreciate really good players, especially goal scorers. You know, like Messi and Ronaldo. They've been superb. Pele was always my favourite. Maradona was brilliant. Cruyff. Roger Runs. I'll put Roger up into there. But yeah, at the moment, I just support Liverpool like I'm a teenager now. So I just love to see players doing well for Liverpool.
Yeah, and do your grandchildren? How many grandchildren have you got?
Four.
4. And do they support Liverpool?
Oh, aye. They've
They've
got
been
no choice.
No
choice there. Yeah, even the youngest granddaughter, she's three, and we have her singing the songs. She knows the Mo Salah song and Liverpool songs and all that. So.
Yeah. So do you all gather to watch the Liverpool matches still?
See, it's hard to get tickets for Liverpool. I bought 2 corporate tickets for Liverpool for one of the lounges, so my son can take one of my grandsons. You know, alternate it every home game. So, or the 2 grandkids will go together. So yeah.
Do you still work in the hospitality for Liverpool? Because I know you did that after you retired.
Yeah. No, the club are very good towards the ex-players. So yeah, I do a lot of work for the club, and no, it goes hand in hand. And I actually the chairman of the ex-players, which I've been for 10 years now. I'm very proud that the players that I watched, we've got now a really good bank balance to look after anyone that comes up on hard times. There's a lot of dementia in football. There's a lot of Alzheimer's in football. Other things on top of that, you know. So our ex-players, if they come up on some hard times, the club have been brilliant. We've got a nice account there, you know, that will look after them.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. So, as I said, we're now sat at Boavista. How did you find the Algarve initially? Because I know you come here a lot now.
Well, you hit on it. 1988, that penalty.
Right.
And then we went to the Euros. And afterwards, I was shattered. I was absolutely shattered. So I said to my wife, just book somewhere nice. So, and then you had brochures and you booked to a travel agent company. So Mont St. Pedro, just up the road there, we got one of those villas in there. And it was brilliant at the time. They had pool for the kids. They had a bar, which was brilliant, stayed up until 4 in the morning. And the restaurant was really good. The food was really good. And then you could come into Lewes as well. So we loved it. Lewes had this feel about it. You can't put your hand on it. We did try other places like Menorca and a couple of places up the coast. Alvor in particular we went. But we always kept on coming back to Lewes.
And you bought 4 apartments at one time in Estrella de Luz, right? So that was when you dipped into property here, right?
Yeah, with Oceanico. They actually sponsored the first ever golf that we'd done out here.
Right.
And then they kept with me for about 5 years. One year we raised nearly 70 grand through the help of Oceanico, and obviously they tippled over and they went busting, and we kept the golf going because it was important to me, you know. When I got this is my second home, Liverpool's my first home. Love Ireland, Ireland's my country, but this is where I was lucky enough to afford to buy a property, and invest in properties. But you know, this is our second home, and it's lovely, and for me to see what people through the Tomorrow magazine. I knew before, but we'd give it to Nessie and places like that. But there's other people that every September people come to me golf in abundance, and we raise X amount of money. But there's certain, like with Phil and Tom, there's certain individuals sometimes crop up and say, well, they need something, we'll help them.
Right.
But people around this area, in Lagos, lose in this area. So with the help of the Tomorrow magazine, we've kept it going.
So to explain, Tomorrow's charity TACT helps run the day with you. The money goes to TACT, and through that we give it to people who need it, but mainly children, right?
Yes.
That's your main focus.
Yeah, but we've, the bomberos.
Yeah.
What a job they do. People don't understand it. They're voluntary. Jesus, it's unbelievable. And then with animals, dogs, with dog lovers, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Even we've given money to donkeys and some of these trusts, but most of it goes towards kids, needy kids, and obviously people who've got nothing now. We've done we've catered food for, as you know, for a certain the kids who've got no home.
The Kaslas kids who are in the children's home because they've been taken away from their families by the social services.
That's it, yeah.
And I know in 2020 we couldn't do the golf day because of COVID, but you donated some money to Vincent, who's a little boy with walking and speech difficulties that we help. And you actually contributed some money towards a hip operation that he needed. So tell me about this event in September. This September, have you managed to bring out any famous faces this year? Or?
So, some of the ex-Liverpool players are always saying, don't you never invite me. But I can't, because it's taking money away from the kids, because it's going to cost us, if that makes sense. But I've had some really good comedians come out. I have had a couple of players in the past that come out and have stayed with me in my place. But there could be a surprise or two. There's still a couple that are saying, they wouldn't mind coming. But we've got a comedian who I know is very good, and he's very good, more importantly, with the auctions. He's really, really good where we need to generate, the money. And I've got my own whiskey now. I've got in Ireland, and I'm going to launch one in Liverpool. There's the St Patrick's Distillery Company. They last year contributed a barrel of whiskey, which went for around about 5,000.
Wow, because that's a new thing now, isn't it? Everyone's investing in whiskey. Yeah. So they're actually donating a barrel.
They're going to do the same this year as well, which is fantastic. It all helps.
Yeah.
It's nice, that we know. We don't have to tell everyone, but we do, and it's nice that we help people. In this part of the world, and you can never get enough money to help everyone that needs it, but we do our best between us, myself and the Tomorrow magazine, generating it in the right areas.
Exactly, and we're so grateful for your input with it and for the money we raised. I think last year it was around 25,000, which makes a big difference to people in this area.
I think that's the most we've done in all of them. And again, without the players, without Nottingham, and we're managing to get like the number of teams. There's nearly about 30 teams wanted to play last year, which is crazy. Phil had a nightmare trying to get the buggies and all sorts, but we had to ask the locals would they walk, but it was great in the end.
Yeah,
a lot of people just come for the crack and the bevy and have a good time. The golf's secondary.
Yeah, Phil has confided in me that sometimes getting the people who've been up in Lagos till 6 a.m. onto the golf course in the morning is a challenge.
We've had a lot of problems with that in the past. Yeah. A couple of people have fell over. I remember one year putting the ball down like that, and he was that drunk he just went as he put the ball on the tee.
Just hit the floor.
Managed to play it. Oh yeah, we've had some great times though.
And you have a comedian, as you say, at the dinner in the evening and a raffle, and that helps obviously to raise a lot of money.
And the auction, obviously, a lot of Liverpool have been very good to me, like giving us some good auction prizes over the past. And
you had a Jurgen Klick T-shirt once we auctioned, didn't they?
And a cap, Jurgen, and a couple of players, you signed the shirts. I don't know the new manager, so it might be hard this year. No, I know the hierarchy at Liverpool. I'll get on with them really well, and they've always helped me. Yeah.
And I think when we last met, you were building a villa in Lewes. Is that all happened now?
Finally, It's the the first phase should be finished around about end of November.
Because you're building a sort of a few, some for you, one for you, some for your friends,
Yes.
and that.
Yeah. Me and me mate, my best mates. He's got one next to me, and his brother-in-law's got one there, and then there's 3 other ones. So yeah, it's all coming along now, thankfully. Yeah.
So are you finding it challenging though? Because obviously with this 90-day rule, you probably can't spend as much time here as
I
you'd
have
like.
an Irish passport.
Oh, of course you have.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten that.
And
so
my wife
you're
doesn't.
all right.
My wife comes. She come out like I come out a lot more because I play golf. It's a good excuse, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I can get out and come over for 4 days, have 3 games of golf a few times a year as well.
And what's your handicap?
Depends what day it is.
And how much beer you've had the night before?
Yeah. No, 19.5.
Okay.
On the sliding scale here, for instance, I'd be 21.
Right.
So I'm not the best because I'm not consistent.
When did you take up golf?
When I walked out on management.
Right.
I was manager for 5 years at Tranmere. Done some great things in the cups and got into a final of the League Cup, the Carabao Cup now it's called. When I left, I knew some people who played golf. I used to go fishing. I used to go fishing here in the Barragem and all.
Did you?
Yeah. I used to go fishing.
What did you catch in the barrage?
Carp.
Huh?
Good carp, yeah. So yeah, I took up golf now, and yeah, I love it. I've been doing it for 20 odd years. Yeah.
And you have been married to Joan for how many years now?
44.
Wow.
44 years.
'Cause
Went to
you-
school together, yeah.
You went. Yeah, I was about to say you
Yeah.
were literally childhood sweethearts.
Yeah.
And you've stuck with each
Yeah.
other this whole
She
time.
had to put up with me for 44
Yeah.
years.
How's she done that? Well, John, thank you so
It's a pleasure.
much
No,
for
it's a
talking
pleasure.
to us. It's such an honour
Oh, no, not
to
at
have
all.
you on our podcast, and thanks again for all the work you do for the charity
No, it's a
here.
pleasure. No, absolute pleasure.
And
yeah.
you know, I'm sure anyone in Luge, you know, often sees you sitting in an odd bar enjoying a beer in the sunshine.
I do like a
and-
little pub crawl and lose now and again, like a few beers, yeah, have a nice time.
Well, it's lovely to see you again, and we look forward to seeing you in September for the John Aldridge Golf Day.
100%.
Thanks again.
Absolutely. Pleasure.